For 15 years, Elena built her father's real estate company from the ground up. Every major client, every critical deal, she earned them. Then she was fired. Officially, it was over something trivial. In reality, her father wanted his son, Elena's reckless brother, in her chair. He believed he was protecting the legacy. He forgot one thing: Elena didn't just manage the clients. She owned their loyalty. She packed her office without a word. But by the time her boxes were sealed, she had already made her move. And by Christmas, the family empire he tried so hard to protect was quietly collapsing. But don't take my word for it. Here is Elena's story in her own words.
My name is Elena Vance, and for 15 years I was the woman who didn't exist. If you looked at the glossy brochures for Vance & Associates, you'd see my father, Arthur, looking distinguished in a charcoal suit, and my younger brother, Julian, leaning against a mahogany desk with a manufactured, visionary smile. I was nowhere in the photos. I was the one behind the camera, the one who negotiated the lighting, and the one who had stayed up until 3 a.m. the night before fixing the 40 million spreadsheet Julian had managed to delete twice. I spent my entire 20s and 30s in windowless offices. While my friends were getting married and having kids, I was at the city zoning office, bribing officials with nothing but my sheer persistence and a deep knowledge of the municipal code. While Julian was in the Amalfi Coast networking, which was really just code for crashing six-figure sports cars into Mediterranean stone walls, I was the one fielding the 2 a.m. phone calls from frantic developers. I didn't mind it. At least that's what I told myself. I grew up in a house where Arthur Vance's approval was the only currency that mattered, and for a long time, I was the only one earning it. I was the reliable one, the workhorse. I was the person who turned a local real estate office into a tri-state powerhouse with over $200 million in ours assets under management. I didn't need my name on the door because I believed the man who put his name on the door actually loved me. I thought that in the high-stakes world of New York real estate, blood was the ultimate contract. I was wrong. In my family, blood wasn't a bond. It was just leverage. The real shift happened 6 years ago. My father, Arthur, collapsed in the middle of a board meeting. It was a minor heart attack, but it sent shockwaves through our investors. The vultures started circling immediately. Our competitors smelled blood in the water, and they were ready to snatch away the Greenwich luxury development, a $14 million project that was the backbone of our firm's liquidity. While Arthur was in the ICU, and Julian was literally too stressed to answer his phone at a club in South Beach, I stepped in. I didn't ask for a title change. I didn't even ask for a pay raise. I just worked. I spent 48 hours straight in a hospital waiting room with a laptop on my knees and a phone glued to my ear, talking our lead investors off the ledge. I personally restructured the Greenwich debt, handled a botched environmental audit that threatened to sink the project, and kept the firm's heart beating while its founder was flat on his back. I became the ghost CEO. For the next 5 years, every major deal crossed my desk. I brought in the big three, the heavyweight developers who provided 65% of our annual revenue. They didn't call Arthur, and they certainly didn't call Julian. They called Elena. They knew that if I gave my word, the deal was done. Meanwhile, Julian was promoted to head of marketing. It was a joke. His work consisted of showing up at noon, flirting with the interns, and charging $12,000 networking dinners to the company card. I saw the receipts: vintage champagne, 5-star hotels, and consulting fees to women who clearly weren't consultants. I brought the evidence to my father, thinking he'd finally see Julian for the liability he was. Arthur just patted my hand and said, "He's young, Elena. He's got that Vance charisma. People want to buy from a man who looks like he's already won. You keep the book straight and let your brother be the face of the future." I felt a chill then, but I ignored it. I thought my value was undeniable. I thought I was irreplaceable. I didn't realize that in my father's eyes, I was just a highly efficient piece of office equipment. The end of my life as I knew it arrived on a crisp Tuesday morning in October. I walked into the conference room expecting to discuss our Q4 acquisition strategy. Instead, I found Arthur and Julian already seated. There was no coffee for me, just a single manila folder sitting in front of my chair. "Sit down, Elena," Arthur said. His voice lacked its usual warmth. It was the tone he used for firing subcontractors who missed a deadline. "Julian has been doing some thinking," my father continued, not meeting my eyes. "And the board agrees. For Vance and Associates to reach the next level, we need a unified image, a strong masculine leadership that reflects the legacy of the brand. We're naming Julian Executive Vice President and CEO in waiting, effective immediately." I felt the blood drain from my face. "Julian? Dad, he can't even read a pro forma. I've been running this firm for 6 years." "You've been a great worker, Elena," Julian chimed in, leaning back with a smirk that made my skin crawl. "But let's be real. The big three? They want to grab a drink with a guy who speaks their language, not a woman who corrects their math. You're too technical, too emotional about the details." "So what does that mean for me?" I asked, my voice trembling. "It means we're letting you go," Arthur said flatly. "We're giving you a 3-month severance as a thank you for your service, but Julian needs his own space to lead. He needs your office, actually. He's already ordered new monitors." I looked at my brother. He was literally holding a tape measure, eyeing my mahogany desk, the desk I had earned with 15 years of sweat and silence. My father wasn't just passing the torch, he was using it to burn down everything I had built. He thought he was protecting the Vance name by choosing a son who shared his DNA, but none of his drive. "I see," I said, standing up. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt a cold metallic click in my chest. "I'll be out by noon." I didn't spend my final 3 hours at the firm crying over family photos. Instead, I sat at my desk and systematically initiated the kill switch. I wasn't stealing data. I didn't need to. I simply ensured that the loyalty I had built stayed with me. Years ago, during the Greenwich crisis, I had quietly insisted on key man clauses for our top contracts. I told my father it was to protect the firm if he ever passed away, but I made sure the legal language named me as the indispensable lead. I sent a single BCC'd email to the big three developers. It wasn't a rant, it was a professional obituary. "I am leaving Vance and Associates. It has been a privilege managing your $200 million in assets. I will be reachable at my personal address." By the time I carried my last box to the elevator, my phone was already vibrating. It was Miller, our largest client. "Elena, if you're not there to watch the escrow, my money isn't there either. I'm out." Within 48 hours, I registered Nova Strategic Partners. I didn't need a mahogany desk or a legacy name. I worked from my kitchen table with a burner phone and a laptop. One by one, the dominoes I had set up began to fall. Julian, in his infinite arrogance, didn't even realize the clients were leaving until the wire transfers stopped. He was too busy picking out Italian leather chairs for his new office to notice the accounts were being drained. I also made 2 phone calls to the only people who actually kept the office running: Sarah, our lead broker, and Marcus, the head of legal. Both had been passed over for bonuses so Julian could buy his Rolex. "I can't offer you a view of the park yet," I told them, "but I can offer you equity and a boss who knows how to read a contract." They resigned from Vance and Associates the next morning. The Vance empire was now just an empty shell, a hollow building inhabited by 2 men who didn't realize they had lost the war before they even fired the first shot. 5 months later, the Vance charisma had officially tanked the company. Arthur called me on a Sunday night, his voice cracking. Julian had tried to pivot to high-risk, crypto-backed commercial real estate to replace the clients I took. He'd signed contracts he hadn't read and triggered a massive tax lien that froze the firm's remaining cash. Arthur showed up at my new office, a sleek, glass-walled suite in the financial district, hat in hand. He begged me to come back as a consultant to save his legacy. I didn't even let him sit down. Instead, I slid a folder across the table. It wasn't a resume, it was an acquisition bid. "I'm not coming back, Dad," I said. "I'm buying you out. Nova Strategic Partners is purchasing the Vance and Associates assets for 20 cents on the dollar. It's enough to pay your debts and keep you in a modest retirement home, but the Vance name is officially retired." As Arthur signed the papers with trembling hands, Julian was being served with a civil fraud suit in the lobby. I walked them both to the door. For the first time in 15 years, I wasn't the girl in the background. I was the owner of the empire, and the only name on the door was the one who had actually done the work.
What an incredible journey for Elena. But now I have to ask you, who was truly at fault here? Was it the father for his outdated loyalty to legacy, or the brother for his blind arrogance? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Please remember, this story was a dramatization created specifically for societal reform and educational awareness. We show you these dark realities so you can recognize the warning signs of betrayal, not to repeat these schemes in your own lives. In the end, Elena's story proves that while names can be inherited, respect must be earned. If you learned something valuable from this video, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to join us daily.